Hey everyone. Well, I was going to do the intro today, and I probably will, and then post the intro tomorrow. But a topic has come up that I find significantly more important when it comes to being disabled and traveling and just doing normal everyday stuff. And that would be medical marijuana. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. Medical marijuana, for some people, has been proven to be a very adequate treatment that works better than the numerous opiates and antidepressants and chemo and steroids and all of these medications that tend to do more harm than good. I would be one of the people in that category. As most of you know, I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, which has never been controlled as it's been in this last year. This last year has been amazing. I can't even begin to describe how amazing it is to not have flashbacks, to be able to find joy again, to not be constantly worried and anxious. Now, did all the PTSD symptoms go away? No. The friends field that I'm staying in will absolutely confirm for you that I'm nervous anyway. And that's fine. It's a different form of nervous, and it's not as disabling as it used to be. It's done well to control the autoimmune diseases that I have had for 14 years. For 14 years, I have been taking medications with wonderful warnings like can cause your liver and kidney to fail, can cause blindness. The quinine, basically the same medication that they give you for having yellow fever, it's called something different when they give it to you for rheumatoid arthritis, but the effects are still the same. It can cause massive eye issues, which is why I can't handle certain lights anymore. And as they've now found in veterans, it can cause PTSD symptoms. Great medication to give somebody that already has PTSD. I actually had to stop taking that particular medication for my autoimmune diseases because I was happy suicidal one day. No good reason for it. I just woke up and decided that it was a good day to kill myself. That's not normally me. Even with the PTSD, I have enough control to generally not get suicidal. And then there's the digestive issues that come with my autoimmune disease. I now weigh more than I have weighed in a long time. In fact, starvation has been one of my doctor's biggest concerns with my health because, to be fair, when you don't eat, you starve to death. But eating comes with a whole bunch of other problems that makes you really not want to eat. I like cooking food. I love food. But when 90% of the time you eat, it's like swallowing a grenade with glass and some nails just for fun. It gets harder to make yourself do so. Well, that, and at times, the job that I had, it really became a decision. I could eat or I could work, but I didn't get to do both. There was no chance of me doing both. So, because I needed to pay my bills, I opted to work and not eat. And that did quite a bit of damage to my health. So I've spent 14 years taking opiates for pain, for rheumatoid arthritis and Crohn's. I have spent 14 years finding out that I can't take antidepressants because they have the opposite effect on me. They either zone me out to the point I can't function in society, and without them I actually can function, my brain functions, or I can't even think. Like, there's not much of a job I could do. I took basically meds that are chemo. Methotrexate is the first thing that they give you for autoimmune diseases. It also treats things like leukemia. It's the main leukemia cancer drug, which worked until I continued to get what's called methotrexate pneumonia, which is dangerous and can kill you. So no more methotrexate. And then they switched me to Humira, which I decided to be allergic to. Then they switched me to Enbrel, which, to be fair, out of all of the medications I took, that one made me feel absolutely excellent. Even the side effects of being dizzy and a little bit vomity were better than the autoimmune disease for about 6 months. And then my system, being what my system is, I decided to swell up to 3 times the size that I should be, where I did a shot, and was hospitalized. So that didn't work. And then it was Xeljanz, and you just keep going down the list, and you just keep looking at, could cause cancer, shuts down your liver and kidneys, completely, totally damaged my eyes, to the point I have to have special glasses that shade out all of the different lights that I can't be around without getting a migraine. And then there's the steroids. The prednisone, I did gain weight on prednisone. When you take prednisone, you eat everything on your plate, and then the plate, and possibly the fridge, just because you are that hungry. But prednisone causes psychiatric issues, so giving it to somebody with PTSD was kind of another experiment in just random stupidity, because you know what? Now I have on my chart that I cannot take prednisone unless I'm hospitalized for the mast cell disease and it's a massive allergic reaction, and I have to be at the hospital for 3 days after taking prednisone. Why? I get really dangerously suicidal. And again, suicidal is not normal for me. So eventually it got to a point where I lost my job because I couldn't get up anymore, and pain medication wasn't keeping things under control, and I couldn't eat. And I'd pretty much lost most of my life because they couldn't find a medication for the autoimmune disease that worked. And on top of not finding a medication, many of the medications they tried me on had actually made my condition significantly worse, one way or another. I finally got mad, and I went in and said, no more. No more steroids, no more chemo, no more biologics, no more antiparasitics, no more medications that you're telling me could potentially slow down my disease because it slows down the swelling, but at the same time causes actually just as dangerous issues. It's kind of a toss-up. I know a lot of people with autoimmune diseases are taking these medications, and I know they work great for them. From where I was sitting, it was a toss-up if my immune system was going to kill me, or the medications that the doctors were putting me on to control my immune system were going to kill me. So I said enough. And they just started talking about pain management. And I brought up what I had been listening to from all of my friends for like 5 years. Medical marijuana would actually fix it. Marijuana would actually fix it. Would you consider breaking the law and doing marijuana? Well, at the time I was working full-time, and my job would have done a drug test and I wouldn't have had a job. Well, okay. But at this point I'd lost my job. In fact, I'd lost my will to live. I basically didn't do anything with the cows anymore. I stopped riding horse. Other than feeding Chino and walking him maybe once or twice a week, I wasn't leaving the house. And although some of that was the PTSD out of control, the other some of that was it hurt. And I was afraid to eat. No, okay, not really afraid to eat. I've learned to deal with the illness and eat and go elsewhere. Eat and stay home. You kind of learn to balance it. And yeah, so I asked, and then I pushed, because the state of Minnesota is one of the single most difficult states to get medical marijuana in. But I finally got medical marijuana. And it took a couple of weeks. The first thing I noticed the first day, and this is just a funny story that will add to this. On the first day, I took the medical marijuana and was driving back from Moorhead with a friend and was like, we need to stop at the hospital. Something's wrong. I think there's something wrong. And I was like, well, no, let's wait a few minutes and I'll try to figure out what's wrong because I don't like wasting time at the hospital. So, waited a good half hour actually, and then it occurred to me. About 40 minutes after taking the medical marijuana, my stomach didn't hurt. Yeah. I almost went to the hospital because for the first time in 14 years, my stomach didn't hurt. And I was a bit really shocked. Still kind of shocks me. I've skipped a day just to make sure that I'm not addicted to the medical marijuana, and yeah. I like food. I'm addicted to medical marijuana because I like to eat, and I like to not be starving to death. This is actually really cool. I'm loving weighing what I'm supposed to weigh. But now, I find myself looking for a job. I've taken this trip, and I'm going to keep traveling, but after a lot of thought and prayer, I'm going to settle in Yakima for the next 6 months, possibly a bit longer, before hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, which is definitely the plan, and before doing more traveling and meeting people and living the minimalist life and seeing all the things I gave up seeing. I mean, completely gave up. I'd been so sick for so long. And now I can do it. I've been able to hike again. Am I still in pain from the autoimmune disease? Oh yeah. I mean, the medical marijuana doesn't take it completely away, but my swelling is down quite a bit. Let's see. The eating, you get a lot of energy when you eat food every day. I even eat pretty much a bit low, but pretty much the calorie amount that I should eat. And again, you can do so many more things when you eat every day. But here I am looking for a job, and I couldn't find a job in Minnesota once I started the medical marijuana, because anywhere that did drug tests, even if it was medical marijuana, you couldn't get a job because you had your medical marijuana card, you could prove that you had an illness, but you were taking pot. You might be high, and that's not true. I'm one of those people that actually getting high really bugs my PTSD. It makes it worse, and I've learned that over time. It's the same with drinking. Once I'm high or even remotely drunk, the PTSD comes raging up like a big bubble. So guess what? I don't ever want to be high or drunk. So the dose that I take during the day has very little THC in it. It has just enough THC to take the edge off. And I would say about half the time I also have to add to that naproxen and Tylenol just to keep my system okay. At night, I do take a higher dose of THC, but with the mix to CBD oil, I'm still not high. I am extra relaxed, but not high. I can still think, I can still function, I can still act quickly, and I did last night. But it is a higher dose, and I don't like to take it during the day because although I'm not high, it seems to be too relaxing. So that's it for the medical marijuana, and yes, I'm still taking over-the-counter pain medications during the day and not at night. I also have a backup THC vape, but that's used for migraines. At the point that the glasses have failed and I'm getting a migraine, I will take that and a muscle relaxer and numerous other medications that I have obviously with me at all times in order to stop those symptoms without going to the ER, because prior to the medical marijuana, any migraine was a trip to the ER, which was roughly once or twice a week. I haven't been to the ER in 6 months. It's great. It's absolutely great. I haven't set foot in an ER. Ha! Yeah. So, the first thing I want everyone to understand is just how much medical marijuana has changed my life. And yet in Minnesota, I couldn't find a job. Why? Because I was taking medical marijuana and I can't pass a THC test. And I can't. But without the medical marijuana, I can guarantee you I'm not at work. I am laying in bed or sitting in the bathroom. And I might color and paint on occasion. That's it. That's my life. So now I'm in Washington, where marijuana is legal. Unless you want a job, apparently. Because I have applied and had interviews and actually pretty much got the job until they were like, but we need to do a drug test. And I said that would be fine. And she said, you do need to be aware that it covers THC too. And I paused. Because, yep, I'm not going to pass that. Spent my whole life able to pass a drug test, and now that I legally am taking a drug, I can't pass a drug test. So I explained the situation, which I shouldn't have to do in an interview because, you know, I have an autoimmune disease, and it's nobody's business if I'm disabled. I explained, and she said, is there any other medication that you can use? Well, for me, no. There is not. I couldn't get that position. I got called from a job that I have been praying to get for weeks. Before setting up an interview, they do a drug test. And I explained why I can't pass the drug test. And they asked me the same question because they very much liked my resume, my ability, and everything else. But even if it's medical, and even if the job had nothing to do with driving a forklift, driving a vehicle, there was absolutely no safety risk. The fact that I do medical marijuana means I must be high. So, no job. I've searched around and found a place now in Washington that does help disabled people find employment, and I'm going to go see what I can do in regards to working with them, because now I'm frustrated. And this isn't just a Washington, Minnesota thing. For those people with autoimmune diseases, epilepsy, cancer, HIV, end stage, all of those things. Oh, PTSD, and our veterans not only deserve a job, they deserve, because I have PTSD for different reasons, but I have PTSD, they deserve to feel like I feel every day now. They deserve to get their lives back, because I have mine back. I'm sitting here frustrated because I can't find a job. Because the medication that has done all of these wonderful things, I get to hike again. I mean, I had, before the medical marijuana, kind of reached a point of, if this is my life, maybe after my kids are grown, suicide's a better idea. But now, that's not even an option. That's the one time I've solely thought of it because my health has been so miserable and I wasn't doing anything. I don't feel like a burden on society anymore. I'm doing the minimalist living, except the headscarves. Y'all have seen the videos on, I can minimalist live if I just need 300 scarves. With the exception of the scarves, I'm doing the minimalist living because I am disabled, and consistently working is never guaranteed with me, and I'm okay with that. Now I have the freedom doing this and giving myself a shot at doing this to go see the stuff that I wasn't ever going to see. And with the not starving, I've kind of extended my lifespan. Even the little white hairs from starvation that I used to get, it was kind of a peach fuzz. Those have disappeared because I can eat and hold my food. And again, that is the lack of swelling from the medical marijuana. It is doing all the things all the other medications were supposed to do, except cutting my immune system down to minimal. It's doing all those things and reducing the swelling. My digestive tract is working. I still have the very, very strict diet. If I go off the diet, I'm gonna be sick. Every time. I can't begin to describe how much medical marijuana has done and how frustrating it is to have nobody really advocating that people should be able to be employed even if they have a massive chronic illness that involves medical marijuana. It should not be a last resort waiting till somebody is dying that they can only take it, at which point they're just never going to work again, so who cares? Some of us need medical marijuana now, and we can go back to work, because I could go back to work. I don't know 100% if I can do full-time, but at least I can go back to work 30, 40 hours a week. I can go back to work. But I can't do it if I'm continually denied jobs because of the medication that makes it so I can go back to work. So I'm frustrated, I'm kind of venting, I'm kind of trying to explain just how miserable this is. In some regards, in other regards, I can't begin to explain how much I have my life back. And that should not exclude me from having a job. More so because prior to the medical marijuana, I was taking a lot of opiates. It was the way of dealing with pain. And all of those opiates, unlike the medical marijuana that I'm taking, they made me high. I didn't like them because they also made the PTSD worse because I was always high. And they're addictive, way more addictive than my medical marijuana has been. So I don't know what to say. I'm continuing to apply and I'm working on jobs. And if somebody watching this video happens to work as a nonprofit board member, hey, my master's is in nonprofit administration and business administration. I would love a job in the Yakima, Washington area. I've had to at least throw that out there. Yes, I am going to take medical marijuana. I will take it every day. But I'm not running around getting high. I'm not running around having a blast, partying with my friends. I'm having a blast getting to eat food. Having a blast not being in pain. I'm having a blast having my fingers not so swollen, that I can't move my fingers like this. I'm enjoying getting my hair back. Yeah, there's some hair under here. I'm enjoying the idea that I am not taking medications that can cause my heart to stop, cause my kidneys to fail, and cause cancer. Little things. Now, am I taking other medications because I am working with doctors and my health is important? Of course I am. None of those medications are causing issues either, and they're not counted on drug tests. Actually, the biggest medication that I take, and I would warn any boss that, I busted out in highs, therefore I absolutely have to take Benadryl, I can't drive, do this, or this, is the Benadryl that I take when I break out in highs from the mast cell. So, I need to get out there that a lot of people with disabilities are facing with medical marijuana the same things I am. They're kind of getting their life back. And they're getting their life back to the point that they could find a job after being unable to work, only to find out that they can't get a job because the medication that is making it so that they can get a job is banned by those jobs. And I'm loving Washington, and I'm hoping to find a job soon because this dry heat has done wonders for my health on top of all of the other stuff. So here's hoping, and everybody feel free to pray. And I want this actually shared far and wide. I know it's a bit ramblier than it should be. I'm trying to learn how to do videos and not ramble. But even if it's a lot of rambling, the difference when it comes to looking for employment in between being a pothead and somebody who's using it for medical purposes is completely different. And I really, really want a job.